Hello there. I haven't been doing this for a few days. I think it's been a week since last I posted a video on YouTube, and there's a very good reason for that, and it's me. I think I've been borderline having a pity party. I've been contending and arguing within myself, and I'm sure you can relate to that. You have experiences that come up and you try hard to work through them, and you throw your hands up and think, can't do this, and then that grumbling starts. Now, if you hear noises in the background, beyond the main gate, we had a water break about a week ago, and the city are back repairing the sidewalk and the paving in that. And then in my little kitchen way beyond there, I can hear my marmalade boiling. I'm a marmalade lover, and so if you can hear the bubbling away, that's marmalade. If you hear the pounding, that's the sidewalk being repaired. So as well, oh, and my name, I'm Anna Delman. Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And if you've got a grumbling, complaining heart, or you're dissatisfied about something, and you, like me, you've allowed it to go a little bit further than it should in your dissatisfaction, and you're angry at God, you're contending with Him, because after all, you know He is sovereign, you know He's providential, and nothing is beyond His control, and so this is what He wants you to go through it, and you just don't like it. Or else you've done well for a long period of time, but then you come across something and you don't like it anymore, and you start grumbling, Lord, when is this going to change? How long? What else do I need to learn through this? And then the grumbling heart shows you that there is more. Now, I've come to understand over the past week, 10 days, it's been 6 weeks since I ended the 365-day challenge, and as time has progressed, particularly the past week, the past 10 days, I've come to realize that the grumbling is where I go to if I'm not focusing on the joy of my salvation. If I'm not waking up in the morning and focusing on the joy I need in Him, in that joy is our strength, then I am going to get to that point of grumbling and dissatisfaction. So if you know what that's like, stick with it and let's work through it. Although I have my big whiteboard up, I've noticed that when I went back and checked some videos, sometimes it's not too legible. So I've decided to do it on some little whiteboards, and I hope you can read that. The first verse I want to look at is Job 40, verse number 2. And there it is. And it says, contend with God. Really, our dissatisfaction, and when we're expressing it in an angry heart, a resentful heart, we're saying, God, you're the one who's the problem. You're the one who is at fault here. So in Job 40, verse 2, this is Job. And the Lord said to Job, and this is about Job, shall a fault finder contend with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer it. And then God challenges Job into a bunch of things. Now, over the 365 days, my personal challenge, I covered that quite a bit, because we all have that tendency to grumble. So when we are contending with God, we're questioning His sovereignty. We're questioning Him from our own position, which reveals our human arrogance. Well, arrogance, whether we can term it any other way. In our humanity, I'm struggling with this. It's our arrogance. And we argue with Him. We're dissatisfied with what He's positioned us in and what He's positioned around us and whom He has placed in our midst. So as I was working through this, I started complaining to myself, because all of this was triggered because I usually am very quiet, but I decided I'd go out and about a bit more. And it was fine until I interacted on one occasion more than I would have liked. And I can't blame the people, because it exposed something in me that I had not yet dealt with. I was dissatisfied in a far deeper way with my circumstances than I was willing to deal with. And the ugliness that reared up in me was not because of those circumstances. It was because of me and my lack of contentment in what God has ordained. So my next verse that I wanted to take a look at was Psalm 35 verse 1, and my prompting to look at this verse was, defend me against those who are my enemies, Lord. These people, not that they were involved in anything in my life, I really don't know them, but they prompted a memory of those who I would consider my enemies. And then furthermore, were they my enemies directly? I was just the symptom of their deeper enemy, their lack of contentment with whom God had created them to be, and they took it out on me, envy, jealousy, etc. Even now when I think about it, I shake my head. What a mess. But yet God is sovereign over it and wants to teach me something through it, and I need to submit to what he would want. So that is Psalm 35 verse 1. And it reads, that was just, is it about me or God? That was my paraphrasing, the challenge to myself. So what does that verse say? Contend, O Lord, with those who contend with me. Fight against those who fight with me. So sometimes you want God just to take a fist and punch that person. Take hold of shield and buckler and rise for my help. Draw the spear and javelin against my pursuers. Say to my soul, I am your salvation. Now, this was written way back in an era where no one had the complete word of God. We have it today, and I always have to remind myself, this is the explanation of my salvation. This is my defense. Friends, we have to come to that point, because sometimes and often in our lives it will only be in eternity when all these things are rectified. So that is Psalm 35 verse 1. And then as I was thinking about that some more, I realized that although God is my only defense, and he's the only one who understands anything about my life and all that went on and why I struggle with certain things today, I thought of Job 23 verse 6. Bring your complaints to God. Know he will listen rather than crush you. So if we look at Job 23 verse 6, it says the following. Oops, I'm not holding it up for you to see. Okay, so I actually have started it at verse 4. And verse 4 says, I would lay my case before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know what he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. Would he contend with me in the greatness of his power? No, he would pay attention to me. Friends, you have no greater listener in your life than God. I listened to a great sermon over the past few days, and the God of creation, who knit you together in your mother's womb, who formed your eye, fashioned your ear, is the God who listens to you. That thought is divinely important, because he is so divine in who he created you to be, and he knew all of these things about you. Psalm 139 verse 6, would he contend with me in the greatness of his power? No, he would pay attention to me. In those struggles, the discontents, the struggling and the striving within me, he is listening to me with patience and drawing me closer to him. God will listen. He gives his full attention to me, even if others would call my complaint, my striving, my contending immature, childish. To him it's not. It's part of who he has fashioned me to be in my flesh, but who he is fashioning my heart to be, taking after, not only here in time, but in eternity as well. So confidence that he will listen. I can pour out the overflow of my heart, and I can argue it out with him. Friends, God knows the sincerity of your heart. Now, you will hear people say you can't speak to God that way. They haven't read the book of Job. he contends with God a whole lot as he is working it out. It doesn't mean he's forgotten who God is. Doesn't mean because I'm complaining in my soul that I haven't. It's because I'm wrestling with what I see as injustices and wrongs. And God, although he's allowing me to go through, doesn't mean those injustices and wrongs are okay. They are not. They never are, friends. But we are to rush to him, be under his wings, under his protection. And the more I thought about that, and then my 365-day, the foundation and the notes that I spiked onto it, and I explained that to you. Well, he is our steadfast, our stability, our anchor. So then it took me to Isaiah 33 verses 5 and 6. And my little note is, he is my stability. Why? Why in this verse can we come to the point knowing he is our stability? And what does that stability mean to you beyond the verse that I'm going to talk through with you right now? So as said, Isaiah 33 verses 5 and 6, the Lord is exalted, for he dwells on high. For he will fill Zion with justice and righteousness, and he will be the stability of your times, my times. Abundance of salvation, wisdom, and knowledge. The fear of the Lord in Zion is Zion's treasure. He will be your stability. He will be your anchor. He will be your joy. Because what does that word stability mean? And I looked it up in the original languages. It's because he is trustworthy. He's proven to be trustee and steady. We are established in our faith on him. And because of that, we need to have a disciplined mindset. And friends, that takes us back to Romans 12:2. We are to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And when we are continuing to work through those fights that we're having within ourselves, to keep looking towards him, to be our stability, to be our anchor, that friends is when we are victorious. Okay, so I also have a note here. The only way we can be renewed is to surrender to him in a greater way than we have in the past, and totally subject ourselves to what he would want for us in and out of the situation. And friends, that means sometimes we are alone with him a lot. But because he's our stability, we know that he can even us out, that we won't have those highs and lows and those battles within ourselves, and therefore we will not go down spiraling into something negative. We will have our confidence in him because he has proven to be our stability. Now, friends, I started this by explaining that my focus needs to be in my morning hours the joy of my salvation, the joy of who and what he is. So the next time I come back, I will be talking to you about joy, because this study started with me looking through pages and reading sermons and reading articles and going to the Word of God and doing word searches on joy. And as I was focusing on the joy, I came up with that one word, stability, in my Bible reading as I do my daily Bible reading. And that just triggered me so much, triggered me into the positive of wanting to rest in him. And then the joy of my salvation, the joy that is found in him, his mercies are new every morning, because we can rejoice in him. That stability seems to flow better and anchor me in a greater way. So until next time, take care and God bless, and join me again for a talk about the joy that we need to build into our lives and cultivate, so that we can stand strong and be stable, irrespective of what is going on around us. So until then, take care and God bless. Bye-bye for now.